Good day, everyone. A warm welcome to our presentation. Today, we're diving into a vital yet often overlooked part of the human body. Most of us are very familiar with the heart and our blood vessels, but there is another massive network of pipes running alongside them that keeps us healthy every single day. Today, we are exploring the lymphatic system, the body's silent guardian that manages our fluid balance and acts as our primary line of defense against disease. Before we jump into the details, let's look at our learning objectives for this presentation. We have three main goals. First, we'll explore the anatomy and physiology of the system, focusing on how it manages fluid balance. Second, we'll uncover its critical role in immunity, specifically how lymphocytes and other immune cells protect us from invaders. And finally, we'll analyze what happens when things go wrong, discussing disorders like lymphedema and Hodgkin's disease. By the end of this session, you'll have a complete picture of how the system works and maintains the body's internal environment. So, what exactly is the lymphatic system? Think of it as a complex drainage and security network. It consists of tissues, vessels, and organs to transport a colorless fluid called lymph back into your bloodstream. It's easiest to understand if we break it down into two semi-independent parts. First, lymphatic vessels. These are like a mentoring drainage network. Their job is to pick up fluids that have escaped from the blood and return them safely to circulation. Next, lymphoid tissues and organs. These are the security hubs where immune cells like phagocytes and lymphocytes live and wait to fight off pathogens. Essentially, the system serves two main functions. First, fluid balance by acting as a drainage system to prevent swelling, and immune defense by acting as the body's security system to fight infections.
Um, I will discuss the lymphatic characteristics and how the lymphatic system works in our body. First, let's talk about lymph capillaries. These are tiny dead end vessels found in our tissues. Their main function is to absorb excess fluid that leaks out from blood vessels. This fluid is now called lymph. In simple terms, lymph capillaries help collect extra fluid so it doesn't build up in our tissues. Um, Next is lymph itself. Lymph is a fluid that moves through a one-way system in the body. It carries water, proteins, and white blood cells back into the bloodstream. At the same time, it helps trap harmful substances like bacteria and viruses, which protects our body from infection. Um, an important thing to remember is that the lymphatic system does not have its own pump, unlike the heart in the circulatory system. Instead, lymph moves when our skeletal muscles contract, especially when we are moving or exercising. That's why physical activity helps improve lymph circulation. Lastly, we have lymph nodes. These are small kidney-shaped structures that act as filter. They clean the lymph fluid by removing harmful substances. They contain important immune cells such as macrophages, which destroy pathogens, and lymphocytes, which help fight infections and produce immune responses.
Lymphatic characteristics. Lymphocytes. Lymphocytes help your body fight disease by remembering specific germs. B cells. B cells produce antibodies that stick to germs and help destroy them. T cells. T cells attack and kill infected or abnormal body cells directly. Other lymphoid organs. Spleen. Spleen is a filters blood and removes old or damaged red blood cells. Thymus. Thymus where T cells mature and learn to recognize specific threats. Tonsils and appendix. Tonsil and appendix act as guards at entry points to trap pathogens. Bone marrow. Bone marrow is the factory where all immune cells are produced. Peyer's patches. Peyer's patches immune clusters in the small intestine that monitor and fight gut bacteria.
So next, I will discuss the lymphatic circulation. So first, when blood flows through our body, blood pressure pushes some fluid out of capillaries into the spaces between our cells. So this fluid is called interstitial fluid. Second, lymphatic capillaries collect this extra fluid. So once it enters these vessels, it is now called lymph. Third, the lymph moves through our lymphatic vessels toward the heart. So these vessels have valves that make sure that the flow only goes into one direction so it doesn't go backward. So fourth, as lymph travels, it passes through lymph nodes. These act like filters where immune cells check and remove bacteria, viruses, and other harmful substances. Finally, the cleaned lymph returns to the bloodstream through large veins near the heart and the cycle starts again. So in the summary, the lymphatic system helps return extra fluid to the blood and fight infections and keep our body balanced. So let's talk about the lymphatic disorders, or what we call lymphedema. So lymphedema is also called fluid blockage. It is a condition where there is chronic swelling, usually in the arms or legs, because lymph fluid builds up in the body. So this happens when there is a blockage or damage in the lymphatic vessels, so the fluid cannot drain properly back to the heart. So there are several risk factors for lymphedema. We had cancer surgery, so especially when lymph nodes are removed. So radiation therapy, we had also infection or injury to the arms or legs. So in simple terms, lymphedema happens when the lymph system cannot drain fluid properly, causing swelling.
Now we will discuss on how to treat the lymphedema. First, compression. Once the fluid is moved out of the lymph, compression is used to keep it from returning. It uses sleeves or bandages to push fluid out of the lymph. Next is manual drainage. This is a specialized gentle massage technique performed by a trained therapist. It uses slight pressure to move trapped lymph fluid out of the swollen lymph and toward healthy lymph nodes where it can be drained back into the bloodstream. And lastly, exercise. Using the milking contact of muscle to encourage flow. So now we will discuss the Hodgkin disease or the cellular error. Hodgkin disease is more commonly referred to as Hodgkin lymphoma, which is a type of cancer that originates in the lymphatic system, which is part of the body's immune system. Specifically, it involves the out-of-control growth of lymphocytes or white blood cells. So the causes is, it is distinguishing feature of Hodgkin lymphoma, which is the presence of Reed-Steinberg cells. These are abnormally large cancerous B lymphocytes that can be identified under a microscope. So the risk factors are first, which is age, most common in early adulthood, 20s or late adulthood or after 55. Next is family history, having a sibling or parent with a disease. And lastly, viral history, or has a previous infection with the Epstein-Barr virus or mono. So how it will be treatment? First, the chemotherapy.
which is to kill the rapidly dividing cancer cells, and radiation, which is targeting specific areas where the nodes are enlarged. And lastly, they use a stem cell transplant, which is in severe or recurring causes.
And finally, we have the lymphadenitis, or the active battle. This is the inflammation and swelling of the lymph nodes in response to a nearby infection. Swollen lymph nodes, an enlarged lymph node caused by inflammation, often due to infection, as the immune system responds to pathogens. So the causes of lymph nodes is lymph nodes trap pathogens like bacteria or viruses, leading to rapid multiplication of lymphocytes, or the immune cells, to fight the infection, resulting in swelling. Risk factors. Factors increasing the likelihood include bacterial infection, or what we call strep throat or skin infections. Second is the viral infections, or the flu or cold. And last is the infected wounds near lymph node groups. So the treatments is first is antibiotics or antivirals. This is known for medications that target specific pathogens to help eliminate the infection. Second, warm compresses, applying heat to reduce swelling and relieve discomfort by increasing blood flow. Last is rest, giving the body time to heal by conserving energy and supporting the immune system.
So in conclusion, the lymphatic system is like the body's cleaning and defense system. It collects extra fluid that leaks from the blood and brings it back so our body does not swell. It also carries a clear fluid called lymphoma, which has white blood cells that fight germs. Inside the body are small filters called lymph nodes that trap bacteria, viruses, and other harmful things. So when you get sick, these nodes can become swollen because they are working hard to fight infection. So the lymphatic system also helps absorb fats from the food you eat and move them into the blood. So overall, it keeps your body balanced, help you fight disease, and support your immune system. If it does not work well, it can lead to problems like swelling, or also called as lymphedema, or cancers like lymphoma, which shows how important this system is for your health. So by understanding this, how it works, we can better take care of our body and appreciate how it helps us stay strong and fight infections. That brings us to the end of our presentation. We hope we were able to clearly explain the lymphatic system. Thank you for listening.